deal with the psychological barriers in this course that people can't imagine themselves in that position because they've
Well,
been told they can't do it.
yeah, the cool thing is, like I said, it's only 2.2%. And it's funny because I'm about to launch the master course, which is going to be $2,500, and it's going to go up from there. And the type of person that I'll be teaching is honestly a higher quality, not because of their intellect, because of one thing that they understand is that they understand that they are working on this life hack sort of theory. They're learning what not to do, and they know how valuable that is. And I was just speaking with a gentleman that is a CPA in Texas, very intelligent man, multi-millionaire. He was probably well over $10 million. He owned a lot of hotels, and he said, because he was telling me all the different courses, like, yeah, I spent 10 grand on this one, 8 grand on this one, and I said, why did you do that? And he said, I just got to learn 30 years in this one person's career in a matter of a month, and it cost me $10,000. And he put out his best work, and I think it's amazing. So as far as the barrier for people stepping in, there's what's $300 worth? It's less than what an attorney charges for an hour. It's about the amount a CPA charges. And can you get a real estate agent to sit down with you and actually give you their experience for an hour? More than likely, no. And the truth is, most real estate agents, they don't even own their own home, let alone multiple rentals. That's another thing that I talk about in the course, how important it is to identify the proper CPA, the proper real estate agent, the proper loan person. They have no concept. All they are there to do is sell you something so they can get a percentage of the deal. And yeah, I've done big deals. My largest real estate deal I ever did was $33 million in my brokerage that I owned. And I've had small deals, and I'm probably the worst real estate agent there ever was, because I don't look at it from an emotional standpoint. I look at it as how many different ways am I going to make money? What kind of tax breaks am I going to get from the property? What kind of income's coming in? How easy is it going to be able to sell and move this? Most people do not comprehend these things, so they don't buy the proper properties because they're being led by the wrong people.
Absolutely, and that can apply to a lot of things. But before I let you go, I wanted to find out what it was. I mean, lately I've been watching your videos and stuff, and you seem very intense about and very sure of yourself that there is going to be a popping of this bubble that we're in. What are the big signs that have really alerted you to that?
Yeah, so it's funny. So the bubble's already popped. The median home price is dropping. Matter of fact, we've seen the median home price drop over 7% in a lot of cities around the country, but even the national median home price is dropping. If you compare it to 2008, it's way more aggressive and faster. I was the first person 2.5 years ago to even talk about commercial mortgage-backed securities. First person on the internet. Google ranked me super high. I got tons of hate for it. Then China went under with Evergrande about 4 months after that, and then it just cascaded. I've spoken about a lot of things that people laugh at, and now they're in the mainstream news. Even when Grant Cardone was saying, you're nuts not to buy real estate, it's never a wrong time, he's now freaking out over his company because why? They're having to refinance and they can't at these much higher rates. It's totally fine with me that people don't believe it, because I was the crazy one in 2005, mid 2005, when I started selling my homes, and it wasn't really brought out into the open until 2008 because it was all in the mainstream media. You'll see this all in the mainstream media in 2024. But again, I was a crazy person when I said, oh, in about 4 months, the banks are going to start to crash. And we've seen a banking collapse larger just in the spring of 2023, larger than all of 2008 combined on a dollar basis. So it sounds funny. People are like, how do you know it's happening? I'm like, you're insane if you don't realize it's happening. But I guess those are people that listen to Jim Cramer and the mainstream media. And if anyone can learn anything from the mainstream media in the last, well, let's say since 2016, that is a lot of it's made up and there's lies. And so there's a lot of people selling. Berkshire Hathaway has the largest cash hoard on record for a reason. Jamie Dimon is selling his bank stock for a reason. Jeff Bezos is selling his stocks for a reason. The wealthy are positioning themselves, and I think people need to wake up and get out of that poor mentality. And one of the ways you do that is you go and put some money into yourself and learn something. Look, here's the truth. I tell people the course is worth less than an hour of a CPA's time and less than a college course. I give a 14-day, money back guarantee as long as you haven't watched more than half of it. If you don't have enough faith in yourself to do that, and you'd rather spend your money on whatever you're doing, then you're probably going to be in your position for the rest of your life. If you want to wake up and you want to go be different and attack the world and take advantage of downturns instead of being a part of it, well, then you're going to go crush it.
So this could work even, I mean, people that are worried about losing their jobs, and we're going to have a bunch of layoffs continuing, I'm sure, into the year, probably even worse than we have now. Is that going to be something that's going to work in your favor if you've gotten because you said there are 4 steps, I think, in one of your videos. It's 4 things that you need to do now. One of them was keeping your credit score high, as I
Yep.
recall. And the other one
Yep.
is to get out of debt, right? That's
Yep.
probably the most important
As
one.
much debt as you can, and set some money aside, because you're going to need seasoned money in a bank account for a down payment for your first house. And then I don't remember the fourth one off the top of my head, but really it's keeping your head on a swivel, and it's who you hang out with. I think I touch on that too.
Yeah,
Um,
probably don't listen to the mainstream media. Yeah.
yeah, and,
That
and
would,
we're seeing layoffs like crazy. This is like, and just the invention of AI since last December, 2 Decembers ago, it's insane how fast this is taking over. And oh, here's the other thing. I mean, go to a new housing development right now. Just go to any of Lennar's websites and see them with a red line through the home price and a 10% discount. No, they're not doing that because the houses are flying off the shelf. The days on market are extending. There's foreclosures starting to pop up. This is the beginning. And I remember in 2006, a New York Times article was just like freaking out saying that New York real estate has just dropped 2% and it hasn't done that since the early 90s. And they were freaking out over 2%. Well, little did they know that a couple of years later, oh, wait, our entire market's down 30, 35%, and people are getting laid off in droves. Well, people are getting laid off right now in the real estate market, in the banking sector, because nobody's making the investments that they used to, and the clock's running out. So how long do you want to sit on the sidelines, or do you want to be getting ready for this? I've been preparing for this crash for 14 years now, because I missed out on a winery for 2.3 million that's now worth over 40, and I vowed back then that I would never miss another deal. So I've been getting ready on a level that nobody I know has been.
yeah, you might pick up another couple of wineries out here in Temecula. I know there's a couple that's probably in trouble. And the other thing I've noticed that you probably, I know you need to go, but I noticed is that Lennar and some of the other ones are building these complexes that they started off as housing complexes, and now they're leased to own, or they're leasing them out. They're so desperate to get people in there. Is
Yeah,
that
so what's happening is there's Wall Street money right now is pouring into these big developers, and what they're doing is they're trying to essentially build to rent properties, and they are trying some lease to own and things like that. That shows the sheer desperate me- measures that they're at right now. And if you understand how desperate they are, it's going to get worse, because the Federal Reserve said they're going to keep rates higher for longer. This is exactly what they did to the entire market in 2004 to crush it. I wish more people knew their financial history, because I'd be selling a lot more classes. But this is why I sell the classes, because I try and teach people this, get it into their system, and quite frankly, they won't take in this information unless they put the money out.
and yeah, and I totally think this is. I have no problem with the course. I've sold courses that were much more expensive than this and did not have as much content. So it's not the
Yeah.
price. I think it's mostly, I think, people's belief system. I mean, I have a hard time after going through the bankruptcy, after going, losing my home, seeing myself as a real estate mogul. I have a hard time envisioning that. And I always ask myself, well, I'm barely making it now. How am I going to turn this around? Do you think you're going to see? I think you're talking about Robert G. Allen's Nothing Down, right? Is that was the popular book in the 80s?
There was one. Carlton
Yeah,
Sheets also did a bunch of those books
called
also in the
Sheets.
early 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, will you ever see a time where you will be able to do a nothing or near
100%.
nothing
This
down?
is, I'll give you a free lesson. This is exactly when this happens, because this is what happened to me in 2001. As the Federal Reserve starts to drop rates, they're dropping rates to stimulate the economy, but it's already too late. The reason why there's dropping rates is because things are bad. Stock market's falling, housing's falling, people are late on their credit card bills. Well, anyone that misses a couple credit card bills, You're done. You can't qualify for a new mortgage. At the same time as everything's falling, banks will not lend. So as interest rates are dropping, what is happening? There's more and more homes stacking up, and you start buying them. And then as rates go down, you can start to refinance them, pull out the cash, and at the much lower rates, you're able to keep your cash flow the same or even better because the lower rate brings the opportunity of a lower payment. So that's what I mean by zero down. You buy one house, and as rates come down, actually home prices start to stabilize and slowly tick up in value. So what you do is you pull your initial with down payment or even some equity because you fixed up the house and your payment hasn't changed, or it's even a little lower, which means a lot of people, they go, well, I'll pull a little bit more money out of it to bring the payment up to the same. Now I take that money, I go put it into an LLC and I go buy more properties. That's the seed money for the other properties. And you keep wash, rinse, repeat that. Essentially like a rehab model where you buy a home, you fix it up, put a little bit of lipstick on it, it appraises at a higher amount, you pull the money out, you go to the next one.
Wow, I mean, it sounds really great. It almost sounds too good to be true. So I'm
Well, it
hoping,
is too good to be true. And this is why. This is why there's very few people. It's because very few people actually put the work out to do it. Honestly, that is the truth.
and that's with most things, honestly. If you want to, I mean, all these advisors always, complain to me about their clients not taking their advice and not putting the work in to get their finances back. But you can get out of debt.
Totally.
I'm living proof of that. You can, put yourself in at least a good position to walk up to a deal and at least give it a try, or buy a
Yep.
foreclosure. That's a different animal altogether. And I think you do have a foreclosure course
Yeah,
as
we're going
well.
to come out with a much better one here in the near future. We're not really promoting that one anymore, but we are going to
It
be
will be
doing that as these foreclosures hit the market in June. I actually just missed a smoking deal on a foreclosure yesterday because I didn't get to the. It was the highest, the best and last offer yesterday, and I could have picked it up for about uh, almost half of its value if I would have put
wow.
in 2 weeks worth of work, yeah, and then fixed it up. I'd have made an extra 400 grand on it. But yeah,
Yeah,
they're
but you
happening
don't have
right
any time
now.
to do that. You're so busy doing all these other things, and I appreciate the time that you
Yeah.
you took with me. But finally, are you concerned about the fact that they're about to start conscription again, which to me seems to be that we're on the verge of war, and how will that impact the real estate?
Well, no,
Uh,
you used a word that started with C. I didn't catch it. What was it?
conscription. They're going to start the draft again, and it's likely, yeah, to happen. And that indicates to me there's going to be some sort of major war coming up soon.
There's a term called wars and rumors of wars that's in the Bible. And I'm going
Yes,
to be honest with you, I'm not taking all of this to heart right now. I know there's serious stuff in the world going on. You can't, I'll tell you what, I have seen more people be paralyzed by fear for the greater part of a decade and not act and make wealth because wealth, and this is the craziest thing, because we could talk about war and all this stuff. We can't do a whole lot of that to fix that. And that's why I'm trying to get wealth back into the middle class's hands because the poorer the middle class gets, the more dictatorship style our country gets. And that's very scary.
absolutely.
And so that's
Absolutely.
why I made these courses. This is why I'm preaching. You don't even have to take the course. Just go. I didn't have a course when I started my first 14 homes. I didn't have anything like that. It wasn't until I got to a certain level and I got around wealthy people and they're like, you need to go and pay for your own education. Go and pay people. And I paid not only to take someone out to dinner, I was like, I really made sure that I was giving so much more than I was receiving. That I was technically, I would just have a wealthy person go, just don't do that, do this, watch what happens. And it would just blow up my financial life. And so with the more money you have, the more options you have, the more time you have. That's what money buys you. It buys you time. Most people
It
don't get
buys
that.
you choices. It buys you choices. I have a friend who always says that the quality of your life is proportionate to the number of choices that you have. That you can
Totally,
wake up.
totally agree.
What,
And so
and
the war stuff, I can't do a whole lot about other than try and get a million people wealthy in this country and go, now there's
exactly,
their voter base. Like vote
exactly.
with your dollars. Vote,
Well,
and
also,
that's it.
it's the only. It's. I mean, you're right. We can't do anything about it. We can prepare and not, prepare and not be scared, right? And not let fear be the arbitrary thing in our lives. So I really appreciate what you do, and this is the reason I want to promote this course because I want other people to have a chance.
Thank
I
you.
want myself. I want me to get out of these doldrums. And I always think it's too late for me. I think if you're over, I always tell myself crazy stuff like if you're over 50, you can't you can't do this anymore. You know, it's too late. But
Not true.
not true
100%
at
not
all.
true.
Not
Yeah,
at,
and even if it means, you don't go buy a bunch of real estate, but you find a good deal and you know how to identify it and you go buy it for yourself, you go, was it worth it? And that's why I put the power in my students' hands. I not only wanted to give you the knowledge, the information on how to identify this, I want to give you some kind of way of making money from all this too, so that money can go towards your first home or your 10th rental. I want to be able to give you the tools, the financial tools and the mental tools to get through this.
and thanks everybody that's looking at this course too. It could be the way to get the money that you think you don't have to retire too. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
people that are really short of their retirement money, and this is one of the quickest ways I know that you can build up your retirement fund is
totally
to
agree.
make these kind of deals. So I really appreciate Travis being with me tonight and allowing me the privilege of, promoting his course. I encourage you to go to the link that's below the video and click on it, look at it, look at, take a look at the sections that are in there. And new stuff is being added all the time. This is not just a one and done kind of thing. And then when you get really, really wealthy off of it, then you can take his master course and get even wealthier. That's what I
Yeah,
do.
and I will say that the price you've got is not going to be forever because as we keep adding courses, the price is just going to go up, or we split the course and do something different because it's just way too much info for the price.
It is, and it's a lot. I have seen other courses before, and I can tell you that you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So thanks, Travis. I really
Absolutely. Thank
appreciate
you.
you and all you do, and I know this is not just your job; it's also your ministry too.
Yeah,
And
it's a massive passion of mine. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. So take care. God bless, and let's pray for California because boy, we really need it out here.
Amen. I totally agree.
Take care. Bye. Thank you,
See ya.
Travis.
Thank you.